All right, so can you guys see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay, okay. So I hope that you guys heard what I have said a while ago. Eh, hindi, kasi mamaya ang hirap eh. Akala ko nandiyan kayo tapos wala pala. Anyway, so yun lang naman yung dalawa. Wala na kayong sasagot ang laboratory and then this will be our last meeting. Okay? Alright. So for chapter 5, the title for this one is Everything Needs to be Secured. Well, in this chapter, actually this one's like more on a common sense already. Because as you may all know, if you're a computer engineering, if you're an information technology, or any course that is related to computers, this is the basic things that you need to do already, right? Uh, we don't do dumb things when it comes to our data. Okay, so of course, alam nyo na yung mga bagay na dapat and mga hindi dapat. Okay? Well, for the sake of discussion, so we will discuss this one. There are still maybe 10% knowledge that you will gain from this chapter, but most of them are, yeah, common sense or general knowledge already. All right, so without a further delay, let's start. So, types of data. So the very first question here is, has data really changed? If you're going to think about it, like we have audio data, uh, uh, video data, numerical data, string data. Like we have a lot of datas. But if you're going to uh, analyze those and then, parang, paano ba? We're going to dissect, okay, every bit, okay, every byte, it will still arrive into our zeros and ones numbers. Wherein ah, iba't iba lang sila ng variety, okay, pero pare-parehas pa rin sila ng originality, okay, or yung foundation of forming the data. So they're still composed of zeros and ones, okay? So what has changed is the quantity, yes, padami na ng padami, and the volume, yes, palaki na rin ng palaki, and then the variety, yun na nga. So literal dumadami sila and then dumadami na rin yung klase ng mga quantities na yun. Okay, so maybe there's already million, I'm not sure, maybe thousands or hundreds of thousands or maybe even millions of varieties of data. And immediately, immediately generated data. Okay, so yun lang naman yung mga nagbago. Pero when it comes to uh, parang pinaka-foundation, they are still groups of ones and zeros. Okay? And so, with those data, meron tayong tinatawag na mga PII and the others are just not PII. Okay? So, meron tayong dalawang klase, the PII and then the others who are not PII. So, what is this PII? So, PII is personally identifiable information. Okay, so ito na yung mga information ng bawat tao, ng isang tao. Okay? Na let's say, very personal, okay, na let's say, sa bank account, okay, yung mga specific na gano'n na lang. Yung mga email address, mga passwords, ano pa ba, or any personal na pwedeng may makuha na information sa'yo na magagamit nila sa'yo. Okay. So, yeah, that's the meaning of personally identifiable information. Or sometimes we call this one sensitive personal information. Okay? So that is any data relating to a living individual that can be used on its own or with other information to identify its contacts, its location, its address, etc. etc. na pwedeng magamit ng kung sino man yung nakakuha ng data mo. Okay? So, yeah. So, ito yung mga examples ng mga PIIs natin. So, we have this social security number, email address, bank account numbers, student tuition bill, credit rating, debit card number, fingerprints, birth date, username or password, vehicle identification number, mortgage information, home address, Facebook photographs, and etc. Actually, mas marami pa dyan. So, as you can see, Yung nasa left side natin, this is anything that is personal, okay? That can pinpoint someone, locations, that can tell someone's face, this one is ganito. Kasi nakita natin siya sa data na, ito siya, ganito siya. So, pwede natin siyang gamitin, blah, blah, blah. So, marami nang pwedeng mangyari kapag naging public yung mga personal information. Okay? So, okay din na gumawa ng mga parang tawag dito. Kumbaga sa laro, IGN, in-game name. Pero kung sa mga social medias, wag mong gamitin yung real name mo. Okay? Especially your birth date. Okay? Kung if possible, ibahin mo lahat. Okay? Kasi naka-public na yung mga information sa internet. Okay? And then the rest are just informational. Okay? Which is not um, parang personal to a person. Okay? So hindi na siya matatrack gamit ang information na to that specific person. So ito yung mga rain gauge, value, number of cars through an intersection. It's like more on general information with our environment. Okay, hospital emergency use per rate, state pala, average plane capacity, etc. etc. Okay? So again, we only have two kinds of data, the PII and then the rest are not PII, which is just informational. Okay? All right, so moving on. So supposedly this will be your laboratory number 17 kung sakaling may time pa tayo. But then again, we don't have enough time anymore. So kung ano yung mga pinagawa ko this past two meetings, alright, past two meetings ba? Yata. So yung mga laboratories na yun na lang yung tapusin nyo hanggang next week before your final exam. So, in-include ko lang dito, okay? Pero, you don't need to do this one anymore. So, supposedly, well, sobrang dali lang din naman netong sakali. Supposedly, kung gagawin nyo to, meron ng dalawa, may pre-made ng dalawang sensors, and then, yung sensor na yon kukuha kayo ng mga data na pwede niya makuha. Okay, let's say, temperature, etc. etc. So, any data that you can get from that or from those two sensors. And then, may additional two wherein kayo naman yung mag-iisip ng dalawang sensor and then kung ano yung makukuha niya dito. And then, i-identify nyo lang naman kung PII ba siya or hindi. Kung informational lang ba siya or it could be used for personal information to someone. Okay. So, ganun lang naman tong laboratory number 17. Real quick and easy. So, still talking about data. So, who wants our data? So, we have two types of person, okay, who wants our data. Okay, because basically anyone wants our data kung sakaling interesado sila sa'yo. Pero meron tayong dalawang klase ng tao. Okay, we have the good guys and then the bad guys. Okay, so for the good guys, those are the legitimate companies who has an agreement in place that gives them permission to use to collect data about you for purposes of improving their business. Okay. So, kailangan nila itong ganito, ganyan, ganyan. Siyempre, parang background check na rin, magtatrabaho ka sa isang company. Maliban nila kung magnanakaw ka, di ba? So, kailangan yung legitimate na data yung ibibigay mo. Okay. So, hindi lang basta-basta data. So, remember those terms and conditions or terms of service and agreements. So, mostly, ang lagi ko lang nababasa kapag sa terms and conditions, do you agree that all of the information about is true and blah blah blah? Kasi kapag hindi, parang pag nagsinungaling ka na doon, okay, so pwede ka na nilang kasuhan. Doon pa lang, nag-agree ka doon, pero nagsinungaling ka naman pala, parang dami yung data na nilagay mo, okay. Doon pa lang, pwede ka na nilang kasuhan. So dapat, totoo yung ibibigay mong information kapag sa mga legitimate companies. Okay? So, uh, as usual, we don't read those things. Okay? Pero the next time that you are presented with one, so take the time to read through it. Okay? Especially kapag contract yun sa trabaho or terms and agreement sa trabaho. Okay? So take time. Kahit abutin ka pa ng 3 hours, 4 hours para lang matapos yung 4 pages or 5 pages or even 10 pages of terms and conditions. So basahin nyo. Okay? So yun yung mga mahalaga. Pero kapag sa mga laro, sa mga application na ini-install natin, lahat naman yun may mga terms and conditions. So, yeah, I think it's okay not to read those. But, for uh, pag meron kang time, okay, siguro basahin mo din. Okay? Masaya din magbasa kahit paminsan-minsan. Okay, so let me give you one good example kung bakit dapat basahin mo. Okay, so may napanood ako sa YouTube. Okay, disclaimer, this not came from me. Napanood ko lang. Okay, so do you guys all know the application TikTok?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes,
yung
sir.
TikTok na yun came from China. Okay. And then nangyari lang na this guy that I'm watching is parang mainit yung dugo niya sa China. Okay. Well, totoo. Parang agree naman ako sa kanya kasi nga coming from China, 'di ba naban yung umpisa natin sa bakit mainit yung ulo niya sa mga Chinese. So naumpisan to sa issue sa Huawei. So ang pinakadahilan kung bakit tinanggalan ng parang ah, rights na para yan magbenta sa US or magkaroon ng Huawei sa US is dahil meron tayong mga parang ano bang tawag dito? Backdoor hardware. Okay, parang mga pre-made hardware na siya wherein ma-access siya ng mga, yun, yung gumawa sa kanya. Let's say, yung company ng Huawei. So, maraming nahanap yung US dati na backdoors dun sa, let's say, sa mga Huawei brands. Okay, especially yung mga, yun, yung mga routers natin. Kaya nga, hindi safe eh. Okay, kasi hindi natin alam kung may backdoor pa talaga yung mga. Then yung Huawei napatunayan na may backdoor kaya na-ban yung Huawei dun sa US. And then, knowing that na parang gano'n na yung parang issue niya sa China. So ngayon, parang lahat ng application, okay, lahat ng mga products ng mga Chinese, parang inimbestigahan niya. And then nangyari, inimbestigahan niya tong TikTok. Okay. So ang unang-una niya ginagawa is kung safe pa yung application. Okay. So nung parang inaral niya yung terms and agreements or terms and condition, so binasa niya lahat ng ganito, ganito, ganyan. Okay naman daw, okay. Pero meron lang isang sentence doon wherein sabi doon, parang the information or the data that we are gathering can be uh, parang hindi naman sell, can be passed through, parang ganun, can be passed through other third ah, third app, anong tawag dito? Third app ba yun or third party company. Okay, parang ganun. So hindi na sila yung humahawak ng data lang natin. Okay, nabanggit doon na meron ng third party na company or third party na kung saan man ibibigay yung mga data for further improvements. Okay. So, though nabanggit doon na parang ibinibigay na yung data sa atin, pero hindi natin alam kung binebenta na ba yung mga nakukuha nilang data. Okay. So, yun yung mga ah, bagay na parang ang simple lang pero kung iisipin mo parang binebenta na pala yung data natin. Okay. So, yeah, parang safe pa rin sila kasi binanggit naman nila na binibigay nila yung data natin sa ibang company. Okay. So kahit na naibigay na nila pero nasa terms and condition, kasalanan natin kasi hindi naman natin binasa. Okay. So, yun lang naman. Though wala namang napatunayan na may parang backdoor siya na natatrack kung anong ginagawa natin, so on and so forth. It's just that the data that we are uploading in the TikTok, especially mga sayaw-sayaw, yung mga ganito ganyan, is not safe. Okay, not completely safe in the hands of TikTok company only. So pwedeng mapunta rin sa ibang company. Alright? So yeah. So good guys, alam nyo na to, we have the white hat hackers. So kailangan natin ng magaling din of course na hacker, but they are the white hat. Okay? So those white hat hackers are paid by legitimate companies and governments to test the security of a device or system. So ito yung mga mostly ginagawa ng malalaking kumpanya. Okay, possible hindi lang literal na white hat hackers. Kumbaga may kakayahan din kung paano mangwasak. Okay. So at the same time, nagiging black hat hacker siya. Kasi paano niya malalaman yung mga attacks na manggagaling kung hindi siya or hindi niya alam kung paano ang atake yung kalaban. Okay. So basically, a white hat hackers is more, mas matalino para sa akin na kapag sinabing white hat hackers, this guy is much more uh, better than a black hat hackers. Kasi mostly kapag black hat hackers, yun, puro pangwasak lang. Okay. Wawasakin lang nila yung isang bagay. Pero kapag white hat hackers, so it can be restored and then it can be defended, of course, at the same time. Kasi alam niya kung paano attack yung black hat hackers. So when we say white hat hackers, their goal is not to steal or modify data, but to help to protect it. Okay? So, yun yung mga good guys, okay, na kumukuha ng data natin. Right? And the other one is the bad guys. So, very general na to. So, hindi ko na siya masyadong i-explain. All you guys already know this one. Um, they are the black hat hackers, okay? Wherein want to access collected data for many nefarious reasons. So, normally, so, ito yung parang, actually, ito muna. Saan tayo dito? Ito. So, parang ito yung parang pinaka-popular wherein the hackers, they can access your user's ID and passwords to steal identities. So, parang ito yung pinaka-in-layman's term pag sinabing hacker, may email and password, so ganun na kagad. So, hindi. Okay, meron ding iba dyan. So, they just want to sell the information to a third party. So, ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina. Okay, wherein TikTok is maybe one of the bad guys. Though inelaborate naman nila na parang gano'n, napupunta sa third party yung mga data na nakukuha nila. Okay, hindi lang natin alam kung parang nabebenta ba nila or binibigay talaga mismo nila for free. Right? And then the maybe want to modify the data or disable the functionality on a device. You want to disrupt or damage the image of a legitimate company. And they want to access devices, web pages, and data to create political unrest or to make a political statement. Then yung nabanggit ko kanina about IDs and password. And then to access data to commit a crime. And then some people, okay, who doesn't have a bad intention. Okay, so maybe eto na kayo, okay, to hack into systems to prove that they can do it. Okay, so wala ka naman balak. You just want to try to breach their security. Okay, you're trying your skills kung skilled enough ka na ba sa pagpasok sa mga systems, sa mga secured systems. Alright? So kung sakali man, okay, dapat hanggang dito lang kayo. Okay, kung sakali maging bad guys man kayo. Right? To hack into systems to prove that you can do it. But do nothing, okay? So, napasok mo lang pero wala kang gagawin, okay? So, I hope hindi kayo isa sa mga to. Okay? So, yeah, earning money is good. Actually, mas malaki yung money na makukuha mo kapag eto ka yung ginagawa mo kasi may mga nag-hire. Pero, nasa konsensya mo na yan, okay? So, wala namang ginagawang masama sa'yo yung tao, pero yun yung inutos sa'yo ng, let's say, nag-hire sa'yo, eh malaki yung bayaran. So, nasa sa'yo na yun. Pero I hope hindi kayo isa sa maging ganito, okay? Hanggang dito lang kayo, okay? To hack into systems to prove that you can do it. Right? So, supposedly, yun, gagawin nyo rin ng laboratory number 18. Actually, I highly recommend na gawin nyo itong laboratory number 18. Internet fingerprint. So marami kayong matututunan dito. Pakita ko na nga lang. Okay. Though hindi na to requirements, pero marami kayong matututunan dito. Ito na yung parang isa sa mga level 1. Level 1 when it comes to tracking someone. Okay. When it comes to finding personal information to someone. Okay. So, the objective of this one is the purpose of this lab is to introduce the aspects of fingerprinting. So, ang tawag natin yan is fingerprinting. An individual using the World Wide Web. The objective is to introduce various methods to extract as much information as possible using only the internet, browser, and various sites effectively. Okay. So, part 1, you're going to obtain as much information about yourself using the Internet Edge, Google Chrome, and Firefox through the use of the Google search engine. And then next is use various sites to augment the information gathered using the Google search engine. So ito kasi, itong various sites na to, yan, merong mga 2 or 3 sites na free, okay, free siya, pero limited lang din yung makukuha mong information. Okay. So dito sa part 1, ito yung ginagamit nating normal. Okay. So google.com, Google search engine. So doon tayo nag-search. Ito naman is ibang website na. Okay, doon ka na magta-type ng certain information to track or to find someone. Then once you're done with those part 1 and part 2, so you're going to compare and contrast information collected using the Google search engine and then the various sites stipulated. So, pipinpoint ko lang ngayon pa lang, itong mga various sites na to is daily made, okay, to find someone's personal information. So, pwede nating sabihin na this is really made legally, okay, to find someone. Okay? Pero, hindi ko lang sure kung parang pang CIA na siya, wherein pwede mong mahanap ng kahit sino, okay, as long as meron ka ng pangalan. Okay, pangalan lang sapat na. Pero yung iba, na website, kailangan pa nila ng like to pinpoint that person. Pangalan, location, saan siya nag-aral, ano yung course niya, anong trabaho niya, ilan yung age niya, and so on and so forth. Or any information that you can think of to that person. Okay? And then lastly, is to create an internet fingerprint of yourself using all the information gathered and evaluate what information you would not made or you would not want made public. Okay. So, without a further delay, let's start with the part 1. So, wala naman kayong kailangan. All you need to do is an updated, okay? Take note, updated internet security. Or, I think enough na yung, check ko lang, nandito ba yan? Yeah, I think this one, firewall and network protection. So, can you guys see my screen? I think this is fairly enough kapag browsing lang naman ng internet. Okay, so enough na to para maprotektahan kayo. Well, ibang usapan na kapag nag-dive kayo sa dark web. So, yun na yung kakailangan nyo ng VPN for sure. And yung tinatawag natin legitimate antivirus, not just a free trial antivirus. Okay, so this part 1. So, gagamit kayo ng Firefox actually, and then ilalagay nyo lang yung google.com na website. So, mag-search kayo sa Firefox gamit yung search engine ng google.com. Okay? And then, itatype nyo doon yung John Smith na naka-enclose sa double apostrophe. And then, the rest are the parang supporting data. Kung saan siya nakatira, ilan yung taon, ilang age na siya, how old he is, yung location niya, and so on and so forth, na pwede mo maisip na pwedeng isupport na para mahanap itong tao. Okay? And so on and so forth. And then, i-document ko lang lahat yan dito. Okay? Kung ano yung mga nahanap yung information regarding with that person. Okay? So, kahit sinong tao, pwede yung ilagay dyan. And then, ito na yung gagamit kayo ng various sites. So, we have the people.com. Okay? This one is free people search online to search internationally for additional information that the Google search engine may have missed. Okay, so parang ito na yung mas thorough searching ng mga tao. Okay, so sa Google kasi, yung parang pinaka-basic na yung papakita niya. Ito naman is yung additional information pa kung sakali nakukulangan kayo. Okay, so ganun din, same process. Ilalagay niyo yung pangalan and yung mga supporting data and then type enter and then lalagay niyo lang dito kung ano yung mga nakuha niyo information. And then the next third party, ano ba tawag dito? Another website na gagamitin nyo is the Zaba search. Okay. So, similar lang din siya dito sa people.com. Pero ang minagkaiban lang, itong people.com is parang pangkalahatan. Okay. But this Zaba search is US-centric site only. So, mostly kapag may gusto kang hanapin na tao, okay, na taga-US, so Zaba search might be an option for you. Okay. So, pwede nyo siyang gamitin. Okay. And then the others are People Search Global is another site for a basic information people platform. So, yan, People Search Global. Okay. Pero, nung trinay ko kasi to, konti lang yung nakuha ko. Pero try nyo pa rin. Okay, baka konti lang talaga yung nakuha ko dun sa taong hinahanap ko. So, yun. Lagay nyo lang din dito. And then, meron din tayong PQ. Okay. Which is another third party website para makahanap kayo ng tao, which is also a US-centric site. And then yung reflection nyo regarding with those steps that you have done. Okay, so compare nyo lang naman yung step 1, step 2, and then step 3. Ano ba yung mas maraming information na nakuha? Okay, or parang nagko-complement ba sila sa isa't isa? Wherein yung nahanap mo sa step 1 is very general, and then nahanap mo sa step 2 is super personal, like ganito, ganyan. Okay, pinablik niya na pala yung ganito. Okay, so pwede rin naman. Okay. And then, so on and so forth. So kung ano pa man yung mga pwede nyong i-compare. Alright? So, just make sure na updated yung internet security. Ensure Hanas. Wait, teka lang. Baliktad yata yung pagkabasa ko. Please ensure Windows Enhanced Security is turned off on the PC prior to commencing. You're unsure, please come back. Baliktad. Okay, baliktad. Sorry. So, sabi dito, I think you have to turn off your firewall, okay, para ma-access nyo yung certain websites na yun. Okay? Yung mga PQ, yung mga people.com, yung Java search, and so on and so forth. Okay. So, yeah, I think you won't be able to browse those websites. Pero just in case, okay, kung nababrowse nyo naman without turning off your, or without compromising your security, or yun, yung mga firewall natin. So, mas maganda, okay, para mas safe kayo. Pero just in case hindi nyo ma-browse, then we don't have a choice but to turn off the internet security. Okay. So, yeah. Any questions so far? Up to this point? Oops.
None, sir.
May napindot ko. Yeah. Okay, so that's your laboratory number 18. Okay, so try nyo. It's very fun. Okay, parang no pressure. Kung ano lang yung makuha yung information, then yun na yun. So, security best practices. So, very common naman na to. Okay, so alam nyo na yung mga dapat yung gawin. Pero marami tayong dapat i-consider. So, hindi lang sa sa pag-tweaks ng configuration, ng settings, ng antivirus, and so on and so forth. So, papasok natin yung mga protocols. So, ano ba yung mga step-by-step na ginagawa natin, mga dapat at hindi na gawin, yung technologies natin, yung devices natin, yung mga tools na ginagamit natin, and techniques that secure data and mitigate threats. Okay, so actually lahat ng bagay, okay, i-consider natin. Like, literally yung kaibigan mo, so kailangan mo protektahan yung data mo coming from him. So, hindi man nanggaling sa hacker, okay, pero nanggaling naman sa kaibigan mo. So, siya na pala yung nagka-copy ng mga personal information sa laptop mo, okay? So, example lang naman na in-emphasize ko lang na pwedeng lahat ng bagay is pwede maging risky. Okay? So, security policies, procedures, and standards must be followed in the design of all aspects of the entire network. Okay? So, this should include the cables. So, baka may nakatap na sa cable nyo, hindi na alam. Data in transit, stored data, networking devices, and the end devices. So, kung sino ba yung manaka-connect dun sa network mo mismo. Okay? So, ito lang naman yung mga steps. Mga bagay-bagay pala na kailangan mong i-check, okay, para lang maging secure ka. Okay? So, you must perform risk assessment, create a security policy, yung sa physical security measures. So, ito yung pinakamahalaga, okay? Kahit nagawa mo lahat ng mga software, mga technologies, blah, blah, blah. Pero yung physical security mo, okay, is parang yon madali kang pasukin. Nonsense, di ba? And then human resource security measures. So, mga bodyguards, kung may company ka, perform and test backups. So, very common na to. So, ito na yung pangalawang gagawin natin, okay, kung sakaling gusto talaga na i-secure yung mga data natin. So, antivirus, and then backups. So, yung dalawang yun. And then, maintain security patches and updates. So, common to para sa mga license, legitimate license applications. So, very helpful though. So you must always update your application or your kung ano man yun, okay, na dapat mo i-update na meron ka. And then employ access controls, regularly test incident responses, implement a network monitoring analytics and management tool, implement network security devices, implement a comprehensive endpoint security solution, and then ito na yung common na matututunan natin. So, educate users kung ano ba yung mga basic things na dapat gawin. And then encrypt data. Okay. So I highly suggest na maghanap na kayo ng, or aralin nyo na itong encryption. Okay. So sobrang effective nito lalo na kapag sa mga, mga bagay, mga taong sakto lang, mga level 1 pa lang. Okay. Kasi level 5 na kasi mga magagaling na. Level 3, let's say may kakayahan na. Level 1, ito yung mga wala pang ganong alam. Okay. So, yung encrypted data, so of course, mga combination of, halo-halo, hindi natin mabasa. Encrypted na siya, pero hindi nila alam, password pala yan, or login or username pala yan. Okay. So, personal information pala yon ng isang tao. Alright? So, encrypting is one of the best way para sa mga level 1. Pero kapag mga level 5, so madali na lang nilang i-decrypt yun. So, they already have the tools, especially for passwords. And physical security. So, in here, we only have outside perimeter and then the inside perimeter. So, what are the outside perimeter security? So, we have the security officers, fences, gates, continuous video surveillance, and security breach alarms. So, ito na yung mga common na dapat nyo ilagay kung gusto nyo lang i-secure yung data nyo, yung physical data na nandun sa inyo. And then inside perimeter, so continuous video surveillance. As you can see, may surveillance sa labas, may surveillance sa loob. And then electronic motion detectors, security traps, and biometric access and exit sensors. Right? So that's it for physical security. So we will continue the rest on the part 2. Alright, since we now only have, I think, 30 seconds. So goodbye for now, and then see you on part 2.
Yes, sir. Sige, sir.
Okay, bye-bye.
Sige, sir.